Also look at what the papers are reporting. First, let's have a peek through. The Nation newspaper, you must give us better results. President tells service chiefs. Experts set agenda for Defense Minister nominee, General Musa, ex-CDS faces Senate screening. The Punch newspaper says U.S. lawmakers, Nigerian reps hold fresh sessions over rising insecurity. U.S. Congress committees hold joint session, Nigerian reps to discuss rising insecurity. Tinubu meets service chiefs. Next is This Nigeria. Why Tinubu recalled ex-CDS Musa to Defense Ministry. Presidency opts for experience over experimentation. Senate tightens grip on security oversight as leadership appoints new committee chiefs. Leadership newspaper, Northern governors, others hail General Musa's nomination as defense minister. Nomination reflects President's commitment to strengthening Nigeria's security architecture. Kaduna Governor Muftwang, Musa is gallant, courageous, competent. Arawa Forum, it's expected he will make significant impact. The Blueprint newspaper, ex-CDS Musa returns as defense minister 39 days after exit. Appointment best for the country, says Uba Sani, General Akolade and others. Tinubu seeks Senate confirmation. Akpabio reconstitutes committees. The Daily Times is next. Reps panel orders CBN, TCN, CEPLAST to submit power sector documents, says privatization dividends not delivered. And then we have next, which is the Nigerian News Direct. Nigerian content hits 61% as NCDMB. BOI launched $100 million equity fund. Next is the Platform Times. U.S. bill to end dual citizenship threatens Nigerians abroad. Bill could force thousands to choose between Nigeria and America. Lawmakers cite dividend loyalties and 38,890 Nigerians may be affected. The Guardian newspaper, chaotic Yuletide travels loom as 15 airlines face 65% capacity dip. PDP deepens. Okay, that's just quite a different headline there. And the Hope newspaper looks at politics of things. Osun governorship. Adeleke in dilemma over next political move. Investigation. After dumping crisis-ridden PDP, governor still in search of another party. Accord, APC, SDP, AA, top list. Commissioner says it will unveil new party before December the 13th. The Nature newspaper is next. IPI list, police boss, Niger, Akwa Ibom governors in book of infamy. Honors DSS DG Ajayi. Yes, sir, I'll be doing this time around with Olamide and myself. And I am very, very convinced that we'll have a very insightful conversation regarding this. Yeah, we'll start off the program by looking at the appointment of General Christopher Musa, the nomination rather by General Christopher Musa as the new Minister of Defense is still subject to the ratification, the approval of the Senate after it will be facing them. But it looks more like we're getting there, Olamide.
Absolutely, indeed. From all indications, the very people in which this insecurity is centered upon, unfortunately, northern leaders, they had a forum yesterday, and we've seen several of them come out to say, pledge their support for General Christopher Musa, saying, we trust him to handle the security terrain of the north. We think that he's capable, we think that he has the experience, and so for the fact that he's being backed by the northern leaders, who also have a very intimate understanding of the truth of the insecurity crisis, tells us that he could be the man for the job. But like I said, everybody is giving him accolades now. You're the man for the job. Salute, Sean, sir. But the real truth is that he needs political backing. And not just that, there is no honeymoon period for him. Nigerians want to see results immediately. He's stepping in at a time where all eyes are on us and everybody's expecting. I think we all have to manage our expectations as well. It's not magic, it's not overnight. These bandits have metamorphed over time. They've taken different forms and different shapes, and they've invaded new regions. And so it's not an overnight job. If they didn't spring up in a decade, they can't be vanquished in a week. Remember,
we used to have Metatsini, back in the day. Then we had Boko Haram. We have the Bakassi boys, which later turned out to something. We also have the Masob in the Niger Delta. We also have the Lakurawa. We have, we can keep on ISWAP, Al Qaeda, etc. All of those people, coming from different part of the country, some from within the country, are causing problems, for Nigerians and not making us feel like we are the citizens that we really have to be. So one thing is the government has failed over the years, but if you look at the headline for this Nigeria saying that the reason Tinubu recalled ex-CDS Musa to Defense Ministry is that he's opting for experience over experimentation. And that's the reason I went back, went back in time, mentioning some of those insurgents or some of those people who had caused problems for Nigeria. So we are not experimenting this time around. We are looking for someone who is going to do the job, and good enough that because, back in the day I saw General Christopher Musa, he had attended different interviews. We've interviewed him here. He has also been to Al Jazeera, BBC, etc. And then this is someone who speaks very well, not beyond speaking very well, he understands it, he knows the onions. So we have to see that the Boko Haram or the terrorists or whatever they call themselves, we must bring them on their knees, or possibly we have to wipe them out.
Absolutely, completely. Ibrahim, and I really love that headline, but if you ask me, it's a no-brainer. This is not a time for experimentation. Yeah. Any sort of experimentation in our security architecture right now means a loss of lives, and experimentation means whole communities wiped out. We cannot take any chances. Like you said, he does have a lot of experience, and that experience is very important because not only has he built his capacity up until this point, knowing the front lines and the terrain, it also means that he has unique intelligence that somebody else might not have. But it's a very, very big job, and I'm rooting for him. On the other hand, I'm also worried for him. So, but then altogether, if you look at the leadership newspaper saying Northern governors, others hail General Musa's nomination as defense minister. So they said the nomination reflects President's commitment to strengthening Nigeria's security architecture. That's Kaduna Governor Obasani. And then we have Muftuang saying Musa is gallant, courageous, competent. And an Ariwa Forum saying that it's expected it will make significant impact. So, as you said, we have to also manage our expectations. How are we willing to also provide information for them? This is coming against the backdrop of the northern leaders pledging 19 billion naira monthly, to the prosecution of insecurity. So it is not enough to also vote money. How are we going to utilize this money? How are we going to utilize this fund altogether? And what are the ways for us to also acquire ammunition? It will also be in the front line, negotiating deals, with the international community. Indeed, the Northern Leaders Forum did bring about a very hefty budget for security monthly.
I love the way you call it, hefty budget.
Like you rightly said, and boys have no choice in this moment than but to be gallant. Yeah. Ibrahim, at risk of repeating myself, I will say this, and I said it earlier on. This is not a matter of expertise. We can hail General Musa for being as gallant as he is, as experienced as he is. If he does not have the political backing that he needs to vanquish terrorists, this appointment remains just another headline, and that is what it is. And so these headlines are great, but I want to see them actually putting policy in place. That's right. This big 19 billion naira security budget going to who needs it the most, going to the facets of security that need it the most. 19 billion is not a joke. And let's also remember that while the North has a very big budget for insecurity, terrorists also have a very big budget for causing insecurity. And so we must top them and match them where we're at. Yeah, I really hope that he's giving the support he needs, because more than anything, that's what he needs. Political backing, political will, and the support and the voice of the leaders who matter.
So beyond getting that big budget, they also get their monies from ransom, taking. They also got their money from sponsors from within and outside of the country. So we see how this pan out. Let's see the Punch newspaper, just a step backward. We'll see the U.S. lawmakers, Nigerian reps, hold fresh sessions over rising insecurity. So we have the U.S. Congress committees holding joint session over Nigeria, over our own matter, and Nigerian reps also looking to discussing rising insecurity. So Tinubu meets service chiefs, which I read earlier, that there is no time for you guys, but you must really, really deliver. So what is the interest of the U.S. lawmakers? We have the U.S., we have France, we have China, Brazil, that we are relating with altogether. Some are saying that the U.S., raising the alarm that there is a Christian genocide in Nigeria, and then we want to help you. People are asking questions. There was a time, where we asked you guys to sell ammunitions to us. You denied us from selling them. You also hamstrung us via the Leahy law, where you told us, okay, the Tucano jet, which Obama failed to sell to us, and then it was sold to us, I think, was it under Biden or Donald Trump at the time, and they told us, do not use it in certain areas. where we know that the terrorists were. So what is the interest? Altogether, what are you waiting to, or what are you looking forward to see?
There will always be an American agenda. For you to ask me what is their interest, the interest is the country. By our very nature, Nigeria is an asset. By our very nature, Nigeria is a juggernaut, and so they're protecting their assets and their interests. Now, there were some rumors, whether unfounded or not, that the U.S. lawmakers, and President Trump put a lot of pressure on Nigerian leaders to bring certain people out of power and put certain people in power. Whether that's unfounded, I don't know. But they should not have a say in our narrative. Why should they have a say on who is a chief of defense staff or who is minister of defense? They should have no say. And so I'm really hoping that this resignation that we're seeing is not as a result of the Western agenda or a push by foreign leaders, because even though the motivation right now could be good, and right now we do need a new security architecture, in the future it gives them power to speak over matters arising. And they shouldn't. We need African problems for African solutions for African problems.
Yeah, the U.S. has always been, their foreign policy, it has always been America first, and then the government policy has always been what is in it for us. It is not that we love your country. That's the reason we're coming there. We see what they are trying to do to the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, all of that, and then saying that he's a drug pusher. And there are reports, there are investigations that are saying that this person has nothing to do with drug. And if you look at the story of drug pushing, trafficking, and all of that, it starts and rises with the U.S. Go to California, you see zombies on the road.
To point fingers and call somebody a drug pusher when there's been allegations against President Donald Trump about being in the Epstein files.
A matter of fact, a 34-count charge of a felony. He was actually convicted of it. So the U.S. is actually supposed to, probably cover its face in shame as to having that kind of president, that kind of person at the top echelon of the country. But we all know what U.S. stands for. One thing that concerns us is whatever the U.S. wants to do, whatever meeting we want to have with them, whatever conversation or communication they want to give, or intelligence, we always have to be at a negotiating table, so much so that we negotiate with the upper hand, not them telling us what to do.
Absolutely. These joint sessions, if you ask me, it's about sitting down and deliberating indeed, and collaborating on how we can vanquish these terrorists. On the other hand, it's very symbolic, and it could tell us a lot about power dynamics between Nigeria and America. It's important that we hold our own in these joint sessions.
That's right. Now let's move on to the Daily Times. Reps panel orders CBN, TCN surplus to submit power sector documents, says privatization dividends not delivered. So we know that these are key agencies or key institutions that are very, very critical to our energy sector. We have the CBN that actually gives out loan. We have the TCN, the Transmission Company of Nigeria. We also have surplus, which is also very key, in this. So the House of Reps is looking into it. The committee is looking into why is it that the power sector, yes, we know it's jinxed, but why is it that we're not able to get the dividends of good power supply for the Nigerian citizens?
The House is no longer accepting just oral examinations. They want proof. I truly believe, and I worry that we have a documentation problem in Nigeria because documents and figures on paper hold us accountable, and we don't like to do that because we like to take advantage of the loopholes in the system. And so that's why when we're asked to present a document, there's always this back and forth and a push and a pull, because the documents and the numbers will reveal the loopholes in the system that we're taking advantage of. I really like the fact that the House is no longer accepting oral examinations. They're saying we want documentation, bring out the paper trail.
And whatever we find out, at the end of the day, we have to make use of the result.
Yeah, and let's remember that this is the first time in many years. Jamboree. This is the first time in many years that the National Assembly is actually openly admitting that the privatization of Nigeria's private sector is flawed and compromised.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Platform Times says U.S. bill to end dual citizenship threatens Nigerians abroad. Bill could force thousands to choose between Nigeria and America. This is where patriotism, actually starts, because we know a whole lot of people who say, I'm an American citizen, I'm a Nigerian citizen, and I would rather be in America. Others will say, no, I prefer Nigeria over any other country because this is my birth country.
Absolutely, Ibrahim. There's a safety in duality. There's a safety that I love my country and I get to live here.
What do you have at the back of your mind when you say there is a safety? Like when there's a problem here, you have another place to run to.
Exactly. There's a safety in this dual citizenship. I love my country, Nigeria, but if anything happens, I want to be able to jackpot. I want to be able to have one leg in and one leg out. And unfortunately, a lot of us, if we don't make that choice about whether I want to be here and live here and serve Nigeria, America will make that choice for us. And you find yourself being a global refugee, whereas you're actually a Nigerian citizen.
It's quite something very serious.
It's even that
is
dual
happening.
citizenship, it's a status symbol.
Yeah,
a lot of people are like, I'm American
actually.
Nigerian, I'm British Nigerian.
Yeah.
Why not just good old Nigerian?
Even Trump himself is not a full-fledged American. We know where his forefathers are actually from. The Guardian newspaper says chaotic Utah travels loom as 15 airlines face 65% capacity dip. And we saw that the airlines, dipped from about 107 to about 38 of them that we have, in the Nigerian airspace, on the Nigerian airspace. So what we need to do, I do not know, but we know that the government is actually paying much attention. I had a conversation with the CEO of Airpeace, Alan Oyema, who told me about, his plans and all of the things. I took his airlines, with my last travel to the UK. These are some of the things that we need to do. When we see Ethiopian Airlines doing well, we see the British Airlines doing well, we see the American Airlines also doing well. Where are we missing it in this country?
Absolutely. It seems that what's happening in the aviation industry is a problem of equity and access. Yeah. So now, even let's say if you want to travel, aside from the exorbitant travel fees and airfares, you now have to deal with that. There might be no space for you on an airplane. Nigerian airline capacity cannot handle it. It's a big shame. We're having a lack of inequality. When you look at air transport right now, it's almost as prevalent as road transport anywhere else in the world except Nigeria. It's a shame that air travel now is now a luxury to many Nigerians. Whereas it's now in part of the world, it's a leading form of transportation.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be so.
Yeah. Last but not least is the Hope newspaper. Also, governorship, Adeleke in dilemma over next political move. That's according to investigation. After dumping crisis reading PDP, governor still in search of another party. So we have Accord, APC, SDP, AA topping the list. And commissioner says he will unveil new party before December the 13th. It's like, there's fire on the mountain. Let me get out of the house first. And I'll look for where to actually put my head. This is funny. Or maybe you jump from a high-rise building. You're at midair and you're like, how do I land?
It's very interesting when you see somebody defect from a particular party, and for a moment in time they are a political refugee, right? Yeah. Even though in their mind they know exactly already where they are going.
Internally displaced person.
Internally displaced politician. But for a moment in time, they keep us in this limbo of where they are going next. I keep on saying this: wherever Governor Adeleke goes, that party will not lose the dancing competition. Wherever it is, he ends up. Yeah, he's a juggernaut.
A subtle way to actually look at it. But all the same, we know that the Accord Party is saying that we are going to give you the platform. Do not worry, we'll give you the platform. SDP is also there. So he's probably considering Accord Party. But we know that he had met with the president, Bola Tinubu. Even Davido, who is his cousin, has also met with the president. So people are already thinking he might possibly join the APC. But we have the APC's interest, who might be thinking of also fielding Ogbega Itola, ahead of the 2026 election. So it remains to be seen what exactly is going to happen at the end of the day. Olamide, that's about it for the newspapers up for review. Still ahead on TVC Breakfast. We will focus on the latest security measures and developments as Nigeria intensifies efforts to combat rising threats across the country. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.